Hello there everyone, welcome back to James Redmond TV and welcome to a fan of a team who is going to be partaking in the Europa League next season as Liverpool throw away their Champions League hopes as they draw 1-1 with Aston Villa. And I don't know if I want to get into the bad start or the bad part or the good part yet, but to start, let's smash a like if you want and smash a dislike if you don't like me or my team, and just leave a comment saying what you think about the game. Regardless, I'm going to just... That's why I'm here. I'm here to let you know what I think about the game. And to be honest, I'm absolutely fuming and buzzing. And I'm sure you can see how buzzing I am on my face right now, because in terms of Bobby Firmino, just what a legend, and he's a man of Christ, and this is why I love Bobby Firmino, not only because he's a great footballer and he dedicates himself to the team, but he's a man of Christ. You saw him before he come on, he was there praying, and he just came on, and you just knew that it was going to happen, whether it was the winner or whether it was the equaliser, he was going to have an impact in that game. There's just certain players in this world, there's and I'm not saying he's on the level of some of these names in terms of a longevity standpoint, but, you know, when you think of some of the biggest names in football history, you think of them for the clutch moments, and Bobby Firmino has been that in tenfold. He's been absolutely sensational and he will be missed, but now it's time to move on, and we're moving on. At least he won't have to stay for the Europa League, because that would have been too disrespectful for someone like Bobby Firmino to be playing in the Europa League. James Milner's last game as well, made a few last-ditch Brexit tackles, and they were boss. It was good from some standpoints and bad from others. Trent Alexander-Arnold, I feel like this is something that we need to address. I want to get it out the way now, because you know I love Trent Alexander-Arnold, but right, here's the thing. For that goal is one of those things where I would be disappointed if I lacked that type of concentration for that goal, and that's me. And if you see any clips of me playing footy, you know that I can't play footy. But I have 1.5 eyeballs. I'm blind in this eye. I can see out of this one. And for that goal, one thing that I saw, or more so didn't see, was something relevant like Madeline McCann, because he was non-existent. He was not in any position, or no positional sense was in his brain in those moments, and it seems to be a reoccurring theme quite frequently for someone like Trent Alexander-Arnold. So as much as I appreciate what he does going forward, and it's why I've always believed that outweighs what he's done bad in the past, but he's now being at a point where it can be costing points, and when you look at chances that we had today, that's also what were costing points. So that's why I think the criticism has always been unfair directly to Trent, because we wouldn't score half the goals that we do without him being in the team, because of his creativity, because of his class. But because of his defending, we can drop a couple of points here and there, and that's a goal conceded based on his lack of concentration. The rest of the game, we've done what we rely on most, which is one of the most involved, if not the most involved goalkeeper in the Premier League, in Alisson Becker. If he's not saving shots, he's halfway up the field making clearances. He's such a sweeper keeper, and today he showed that same class. But if you're going to be having these mistakes, where Van Dijk's done it this season, Matip's came on and done it this season, but Trent more than most, it is going to be a problem. So I want to get that out the way, because I do think he's done things well. I don't think it was the perfect game from Trent, but he does need to improve. And here's the thing, it's now not a case of improvement. Now it's a case of what he already does so many things, boss. If he done nothing well, he shouldn't be in the team. He does one thing world class, he does one thing not so world class. In fact, it can be a detriment to the team. Move him up the field. Now this is an opportunity for Jurgen to identify, right, I need to put him in the midfield, and I'm not the man to tell Jurgen how to do his job, but I feel like it's blatantly obvious, because when you look at Trent and you see him in the best moments of the game, it's when he's in the other half of the pitch and not this one. So I'm hoping that those adjustments are made throughout the summer. I've never really brought it up because I don't think a right back has been our main priority, but now absolutely got to be up there with the main priorities. But as for the game itself, Firmino gets the equaliser. Otherwise, it was just a chess match. This is why, I admire Unai Emery, because he just always makes it difficult. He's just one of those managers where throughout the whole game, the Aston Villa team were just defending in such a unit. It was so harmonious, to where if you can only appreciate football for one style, it's like fight fans. Some MMA fans only like striking, some may like jiu-jitsu, but mostly people like seeing others getting knocked the fuck out. In this case, some people just like expansive, free-flowing football, whereas everything that Unai Emery told that team to do, he told them to do, and it was efficient. He told Emi Martinez to wind the fans up. He told the team to stay as a unit. And then when you see people like Tyrone Mings, he looked like he had an issue with Liverpool. He looked like prime Virgil van Dijk today. He was making clearances, he was making world-class tackles, he looked unbelievable. It was like he carried that Steven Gerrard agenda into Anfield. It was like he could sense the legendary status of a man that once hated Tyrone Mings to a point where he wanted him out the team. So he really took it out on Liverpool today, and Aston Villa were fantastic. And I hate it because I'm a Liverpool fan. And when these moments like these happen, I hate giving other teams credit. But throughout the game, I was thinking we were going to get back into it, so I was still a little bit optimistic. And when I'm optimistic, it still opens my mind to seeing what the other team's doing really well, opposed to just what we're doing bad. And what Aston Villa were doing was sensational, and that's why Unai Emery was so calm until we scored. And when Firmino came on, I knew the tide would have changed in that aspect, and it most certainly did. But yeah, and here's one thing that Liverpool fans are going to say. They're going to come out and say, oh, Mings should have been sent off. And, what else? The goal, this, that and the other. Listen, the goal was offside. And Tyrone Mings, although he should have been sent off, you can never go into these games having it in mind, like, okay, if we make it a tight game today, there's a possibility that the poor standard of refereeing that partakes in this league is going to partake again in this fixture. And if it does partake again in this fixture, then we've got a huge problem, because we're relying on very small margins of a 1-2-0 win when we've got such poor officiating in a lot of instances. And I know people have the Liverpool jokes, but this message is directly to Liverpool fans alone who are upset with that decision. I get it, like maybe it should have been a red, but there's instances throughout the season where we should have had a red card. You cannot rely on margins. This is why, regardless if they're breaking the law or not, all remains to be seen. Manchester City are doing everything right. They're doing everything right from a point that they're not just making it fine margins, they're making it so it's unbeatable in every single season. You cannot catch us, and I understand we can't do that ourselves, but there's a lot of things that we could, or at least I believe that we could have done. If I hold our owners to the highest standards, the people who should be the owners of Liverpool Football Club, I should be able to expect them to be able to get a little bit of cover in terms of squad depth. And there was a lot of areas where we did not do that. I thought the attack, we had it kind of, but we did lose Jota and Diaz, and that was a big blow. And sometimes you can't anticipate everything. But when you're seeing injuries to the likes of the midfielders, and you see the position, the context of the midfielders and their injury history and the age of some of them, and to just think it was going to be willy-nilly, and that's the most important part of the pitch. So somewhere, someone, somehow, lacked some really big knowledge going into the season in that department, because how we went into the season, lack of preparation, and then knowing that mistakes can happen. Jurgen can make tactical mistakes, we already knew this. Trent can be a defensive liability. We already knew this. That's why we have to be near enough perfect. And the only time we was is when we didn't get as many injuries, was a couple of seasons ago. Now we need to accommodate that with squad depth. And I feel like seeing more, Keita, Milner, Ox, a few midfielders now going out the door. I want to see 3 or 4 midfielders coming through the door, because we need it, mate. And if we don't get 3 or 4, that means we're still relying on either Henderson or Fabinho to be a regular starter for next season. Unless we have some direct competition, I don't want to see that happening, because I want to see their places earned based on the fact they're better than the second option. Second option, who does a good job himself. Make sure that you hold yourself to those standards, otherwise we're going to be in Europa League again and again and again for the following years. And I don't want to be Man United. It's depressing looking at that football club. They thought they were going to win the league, this, that and the other, and then Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, Ralf Rangnick, and then now Ten Hag later. They've got a League Cup to show for it, but I don't want to be in that position. I do want to hold ourselves to higher standards, and I feel like our fans, and more importantly our owners, don't want to take that little bit extra risk to reap a reward of silverware. So let me know what you think about the game. I thought it was good in ways, bad in others. Now the Southampton game is literally a friendly, which I hope that we win, because at least we didn't lose Firmino's and Milner's last game of the season, you know what I mean? At least there was something where there was some sort of niceness to take out of it, in a sense, purely for Firmino alone. But then Southampton game, if we can win that, that'd just be great, because it'd just be a nice way to end the season. I don't think it's even possible to get Europa League, is it now? Because United won their game today, so I don't even think that we can get Champions League. So I do think it's Europa League season, baby, and we need to still win that last game, otherwise I believe we might even go into Conference League. So yeah, it is what it is. But anyway, smash a like, and yeah, I only posted because we drew. If we lost, I wouldn't have posted. Just being dead honest with you, hate in the comments if you will. Anyway, I love every single one of you. Have a good one, and ta-da.